welcome to this brief video on how to get started with analyzing qualitative data. Now, analyzing qualitative data really requires think time. It requires you getting your brain into the data. It's a long process. It's an iterative process. It's a process that requires you to essentially immerse yourself in the data. And the process begins by trying to identify themes by coding your data. Now, that in itself is not easy because you could have read the data and you may have multiple data sets. And as you go further in it, you start to identify some codes or some themes are emerging. But now you need to go back to the previous data that you had already read and start to code that as well. So it's this iterative process of going through the data over and over again, trying to identify these codes and then bringing them together in themes and then even arranging those themes. Now, I want to share with you a quick Kickstarter trick that you can use that might give you some insight into what potential codes and potential themes could be. Now, there's no shortcut for reading the data. You need to immerse yourself in your data. But here's a little quick Kickstart trick that you can use to maybe give you some possible codes and themes that you could be looking out for as you go through your data. So what I want you to do is jump across to a website where we will have a look at a word cloud. And here I will show it to you. So if you don't know what a word cloud is, there is an example of a word cloud on your screen. A word cloud is really just a visual representation of words. And the way it works is the more important a word is, and importance is basically measured by how often the frequency of the occurrence of the word, the larger the word appears in the word cloud. And obviously the opposite is true. If a word doesn't occur too frequently, it will appear as smaller font size in the word cloud. So there are many word cloud tools you can use. I'm using wordclouds.com. So very simply, go across to wordclouds.com or other tool. And this one's particularly useful because it's got a whole lot of little features, but you don't really need the features at the moment. All you've got to do is take your transcript and drop it in here. Now, to do that, you would go along to File. You can open a text file, or you can even open an MS Office document. I've already copied mine, so I'm just going to go to Paste Text, and I'm going to paste my text in here. So there I have got part of a transcript from a focus group that took place. And I hit Apply. And very quickly, all it does is it analyzes that and produces a visual picture. So immediately, just looking at that, I can get a sense of what are some of the big themes coming out here. I'm not surprised that Facebook is quite big because it was research around the use of Facebook for learning. I'm also not surprised, but interestingly, distractions. That's very interesting. So I should be looking out for distractions. And I can see there's also distraction in the singular there. There's something to do maybe with privacy. There's some sort of social aspect coming out there. Think, is that something important, or just people just saying, I think, but maybe I want to look out for that. And so immediately what I'm doing is I'm starting to see there are some interesting themes that I should be looking out for when I analyze this data. So that's a great way to just kickstart identifying codes that you should be looking out for and potential themes that are going to come out. Now, what's quite cool about this particular tool, you can do a whole lot of things. If you actually want to use this word cloud later, you can take it and you can produce it into all sorts of interesting shapes, depending on what you like, and it'll just change the word cloud to look like that new shape. And you could even use this in your research as an image that you want to represent what was your first iteration of the process of qualitative analysis. And you can then obviously download this as well and save it for later analysis. But that's a really quick and easy way to get a quick look at your data, to get a quick sense of what could be there. And then obviously, as I said earlier, there's no shortcut for really reading, being very careful and identifying the codes using your brain and thinking.